Hey everybody, it's Guinevere, and today is incredibly special. It's special for a couple different reasons. The first reason it's special is because it is the spring equinox. We have finally officially sprung into spring. The face paint that I have right now, again, ceremonial. I do ceremonial face paint. I do a full-on meditation before I start these videos. And then as I paint my face, I'm dedicating that energy. I'm using the creative energy, the creative element to build an energy out. So I hope you enjoy it. You can probably guess by looking that it's the tree of life. And if you had not guessed by looking, it is in fact the tree of life. And I chose it because the energy that's come in for me to speak about is about teachings and lessons and growth, and right here on the spring equinox. So I'm going to start with the universe and how it loves to speak to us. I'm starting there first. So a couple of days ago, I was meditating on what the next bit of wisdom or sharing I could give for you would be. And I was out in the world looking for food, hunting and gathering. And I was stuck behind a car that had the license plate Dire Wolf. Dire Wolf. Now, for me, this has more than one meaning. For me, it's actually an inside joke in my own personal life between me and a very good friend of mine, where she nicknamed my dog Thor the Dire Wolf because he's so protective and so huge and so truly terrifying, but loves her like crazy. And so her nickname for him is Dire Wolf. Now, wolf itself is a very beautiful energy. It's about finding your way. And it's not just finding your way in a general kind of way. It's the pathfinders. It's the people who are ready to explore and try things that they have not done, to become students of what's right in front of them, or to become actualized students to the alpha, whoever that might be. It's the wolf pack and being able to connect with the people around you in an intelligent way, assembling intelligently. It's the alpha energy within each person. Some people maybe not so strong, but it's always going to be there to some degree, whether 2% or all the way up to full on alpha 100% want to run the pack and howl at the moon. Now, why did it come up? Well, because I was asking. See, the thing is, when we dialogue with spirit, with the universe, it dialogues back. And I was asking, what do I need to focus on? What needs to be the next thing I share with you? Direwolf came. It made me laugh. I was aware of the fact that that was going to be the element I opened. But I thought about it and meditated on it more, and I felt that there was something I needed to teach you. So right now, I'm your pack leader, okay? I'm going to be your dire wolf in dire times. I'm going to pack lead you and teach you. And I decided what? Of all the things that I wanted to teach you, what I feel was one of the most precious teachings I could offer. And that is my connection and relationship with the trees. Now we're back to the spring equinox, which you already know I opened this video on, wishing you a happy spring equinox. And of course, things are coming back into blossom. And the tree of life is growth, and we are in a growth cycle. Today specifically, since it's March 20th at the moment of this filming, is the day of ending old cycles and beginning brand new ones. So that's good to know. And we're moving into the spring on a fresh energy. We're springing forward, hopefully with a lot less baggage and a lot more blessings as we move forward. So let's talk about those trees. First off, I'm going to get close to the camera so you can see details of the tree of life I painted on my face, so that you can enjoy the energy I put into doing this blessing way, this ceremony of makeup. And it was super intentional. There's a sun setting in the trees behind the tree of life, and it's an apple tree. So it's covered in little rhinestone apples, and I'm going to lean forward so you guys can see a couple details. So you can see the sun. I don't know if this is focusing in much because, you know, it's hard to tell. And you can see the branches, obviously, the nighttime sky. I have wonderful green eyelashes, so I went all the way. And I did mention to you guys that whenever I have the opportunity to do something all the way, I will. And you know what? Got a lot of time on my hands. World is slowed down. It gives me time to do serious ceremony. Now, let's get to the trees if you're still with me, and I'm hoping you're still with me because these are good stories and they're very, very powerful stories. So, trees and us, we are not divisible, okay? What you want to think of when you think of trees, plants, shrubs, anything that grows from the earth, anything that exhales what we need, oxygen, is connected to us in a symbiotic relationship. We are not separate from the trees, okay? We're not. It's one of the reasons why druids were what they were. It's one of the reasons why, if we go back through time and space to before people started to forget, the trees have been sacred for hundreds of thousands of years. Trees are important. They bring us oxygen, but they inhale our exhale. What we exhale is their oxygen. So we're in I don't even know how to put this really. It's like an information loop with them. Now, if you've done your tree research, then you know that they also communicate with each other through mycelium and fungi in the ground. So they've got a direct telephone line where there's tons of information being passed from tree to tree. So they function much like a nervous system. And they're so old and so wise. And I know it's hard to believe something that doesn't have eyes to stare at you that you're aware of, and doesn't seem to have ears to hear you that you're aware of, and doesn't move anywhere that you're aware of, would have so much of a connection to you. But you see, the thing is, tree wisdom, tree logic, is to root itself deep into the earth and wait for all elements to come to it. Its prayer is to receive. And in receiving, it gives. Apple trees, for instance. Sometimes there's thumping on my ceiling. So if you heard a sound, it's because I believe spirits land on my house. And they tend to be quite big. And they tend to come during special times. So yay me. So you want to think about that symbiotic relationship. Now, in the years that I've been working with trees, I've been sitting with them and breathing with them and paying very close attention to whatever they have to share with me. When I've put my hands on the trees, I can see different information because they do in fact have a real time connection with us. I want you to understand that there are thousands of ways of communication that have been bypassed. So our breath, our sounds, the fact that they can feel us and they see us, that it's been scientifically proven that plants have eyes, just not like how we see eyes, but they see us in their way. So they know who we are. They dream with us. They're older than us. I want you to go deep with this one. A sequoia tree, bare minimum, is 2,000 years old. 2,000. Imagine you hanging out in the mountains for 2,000 years, meeting people coming and going, right? So they actually have a lot to offer. A lot to offer. So here's where the stories come in. Now, I crossed the country a couple years back and I was doing a ceremony of blessing trees. I decided I was going to go across country and pick master trees that had something that they wanted to share with people and create these signs that I would post on the tree saying, I'm an ordained tree and this is what I do and this is what I'd love for you to do with me. And I didn't know if the signs would last or if people would take them down one day or how it would work, but I decided to trust that whoever saw it would form a relationship with the tree, hopefully, and start a really creative experience with that tree. Now, when I hit the road, I knew I wouldn't have time to make signs one at a time, like meditate with the tree, find out what the tree wanted to offer. So instead, I meditated it at home. I recognized that the information would come to me, that I have a link with trees, and trees and I, we go back. And so I was just going to trust whatever information came. So I wrote the signs up with different names, different titles for each of the trees, and different jobs that the trees were going to do. And then I hit the road and waited for the trees to find me or for me to find the trees. And this is where synchronicity, spirituality, and connection all dovetail into a beautiful combination of kaleidoscopic beauty. Anyway, so I was at I think it's called Kings Sequoia National Park in California. That's where the sequoias are. If I said it wrong, again, everything I say wrong, since I'm not editing any of this, I will put in the description. So just, you can find the link there. And I wanted to sit and bless 2 trees in the park. So that evening, right before I went to bed, I sat with in meditation, and I had all my signs in front of me. I had roughly 21 signs in front of me, and decided I was going to take kind of a tarot approach to it, which is really funny. So I spread out the signs and decided to let a sign come to me, and here's your sign, literally. So I was going to let this sign come to me. And the meditation said that I would find the exact right trees and that there was a very passionate tree waiting to meet me. And I pull out the sign and it said Firekeeper Amoris, which basically means that that tree is a sacred fire holder, amorous of love, a fire holder of love. And I had a moment, I had a nervous moment where I thought to myself, oof, what is this? Is this giving the wrong message? I mean, fire and trees. And now keep in mind, I made the sign. So I wasn't afraid when I had the vision that I was supposed to make this sign Firekeeper Amoris and what it was about and about being a firekeeper. But I didn't expect that specific sign, because there was one other passionate tree in the mix, to come up in the Sequoia forest. And of course, the last thing I'd ever want is the Sequoia forest to burn down. And I'm very symbolic thinking. So I was having a moment. And then I was like, okay, here's the deal. You really do have to trust these moments. How long have I been doing oracle work where I'm constantly being asked to trust these moments, that the pre-meditation, that the pre-work that I do, that writing down the signs, that knowing that eventually I would find the exact trees that would match the signs, and then panicking because it said Firekeeper in the middle of the Sequoia forest. And I'm like, I need to let that go, okay? So I'm going to show you something very, very special. I'm going to turn off my ring light, okay? And I'm going to show you, I didn't know where I was going to go in the woods. I knew I was going to literally park wherever I parked. I was letting the universe guide. I was going to park wherever I parked, and I was going to hike wherever I hiked. There was no plan. There was no map. There was none of that stuff. It was 6 a.m, and I had the Firekeeper sign in my hands, and I asked the Firekeeper to let me find it, right? So I'm going to turn off the ring light so that you can see this better. I'm pretty sure that's the best way to handle it. And you're going to see Firekeeper, because when I saw him, he was right there in front of me on the path, and I couldn't even believe my eyes because it was so very literal. And I've been trying to teach people that trees are literalists, that they actually know how to use their bodies to communicate to us what and who they are, that they know that we are visual in the way we are. I could go on, and I'm probably actually going to have to do more than one tree video anyway, because I have so much information, and I'm not even certain if it's fair to give it to you guys all at once. It's a lot to take in. So, oops, sorry, I kicked my camera. I'm going to show you Firekeeper Amoris, and then you'll understand why I'm pausing and blurting and pausing, really. So this is Firekeeper. First off, it was a lightning-struck tree. What made it funnier is that there was a plaque in front of the lightning-struck tree, and it said that lightning hitting sequoia trees, pine trees, ponderosas actually helps them grow. It actually supports their growth. A little bit of lightning helps them to become stronger and helps the ecology of the forest, and so on and so forth. And new life grows forth from lightning-struck trees. And I've met many lightning-struck trees in my time, and they do, in fact, grow new life. So he was lightning struck, and he was burned up the side of his trunk. And his face, amazing, okay? When I say his face, I mean it. There's a face burned into the tree. So we're turning off the ring light so that it's going to get dark in here for a second. There we go. And I'm going to turn this to face you. Let's see, can you see it at all? Let's see. Here we go. Let's move it in. There we go. If you, it's like chaos. Let's see if we can get it in there good. If you can't see that face, I don't know what to do with you. That there, look at the cheekbones, the nose, the chin, even his hair flowing around his face. Firekeeper Amoris. So it was undeniable, ridiculously beautiful, amazing, inspiring. I squealed. I will admit it. I went, oh, and I was so excited. And on that note, you know what? I'm gonna burn some sage for you, because I just shared the Firekeeper with you. So we're just gonna keep with tradition and do some firekeeping here. And as I light this, I actually do want you to see the blessings that I'm putting into the energy of lighting this sage towards you. This was beautifully collected sage. It came from a person's property, so it's not endangered. I know that a lot of you are concerned about the endangerment of some plants that have been overused, but this is actually a real person's garden and her own collected sage. She grows the bushes all throughout her property. So enjoy the saging. So as you know, Amoris, oof, my goodness, shows his face to me. And I did the prayers and I left the sign there at the tree leaning up against the fence, and probably park services removed the sign pretty quick. I'm pretty sure a lot of signs didn't really last for long, but I figured whoever did see them would remember and come back and be like, wow, this is the Firekeeper. Let's go visit the Firekeeper. I'm always hoping I'll inspire somebody out there. So yeah, that was the Firekeeper story. Now I'm going to go to a different story entirely. This one's pretty serious, so buckle up. I'm going to try and be as close to as many details as possible. I don't want to forget details. So a couple years ago, I had a dream, and it was a dream that was so real and so powerful. It was these are the kind of dreams that they ring through me. They last in me for a lifetime, I think. And the dream was that I was walking in the woods and there was a tree up ahead, and inside of the tree were little dwellings. It was that big. Little dwellings and twinkle lights where people were living inside of the tree. And there was a really large opening at the bottom of the tree where you could go inside the tree and then climb up inside the tree to all these different branches. And each of these branches had, like I said, dwellings and twinkle lights and people living there. And I noticed that the tree seemed to be shaking. So I approached the tree and it was shaking very, very hard. And I looked inside of the tree. And when I looked inside, I saw that there was a pestilence inside of the tree, and that the pestilence was making the tree really sick. And in the dream, they were called politobeasts. Now, obviously, my brain smushed the fact that capitalism doesn't do enough caretaking of the natural resources. It's always how much money can we make rather than how can we make the world a stronger, better, more beautiful place. People have so lost touch with the natural way and the natural world. And so these people had infected the tree. Now, a big rumble started, a big rumble, and a huge portion of the tree crashed to the ground and it was just dead. And I was horrified. It was like watching my best friend being murdered in front of my eyes. It had such an impact on me. And I asked the tree, what can I do? What can I do to make you well? Because I realized that this was a very serious situation taking place with the tree. And the tree said, you need to sing to me. So I sat at the base of the tree and I sang. And the first song that came to my mind was a Kali mantra. So I was singing a Kali mantra to the tree. And as I was singing it to the tree, I saw that the pestilence inside the tree was being healed and everything inside the tree was becoming whole again. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is because that was the first time I had the dream. Then I had the dream again many years later. And then fast forward to the time I've spent protecting natural resources, I discovered that other women had also had this dream of this tree, half of the tree dying from neglect and the other half of the tree living very strong. So you want to think about our relationship with nature, our relationship with springtime and the natural forces. And I really want you to develop a genuine relationship with the tree. I want you to go out of your way to find a tree that's very nearby where you live, or in your own backyard, or in a local park. And I want you to find one that speaks to you, one that you feel like this vibration is happening in your heart. And I want you to start sitting with that tree. And here's the thing, listening to a tree is not an easy process. You can't be full of tension. Most of the time that we sit with trees or sit near trees, we're spending our time just letting the tree put us back into harmony or put us back into ease. So I want you to be aware of the fact that if you really want to have a conversation and a relationship with a tree, you can't just go once, okay? And you can't just go for 20 minutes after a really stressful experience, because the tree's going to spend that entire time healing you, giving you oxygen, wrapping its roots underneath you and its branches around you. Trees are incredibly generous. They love us. They're our elders. They are full of wisdom and full of information. And when I said I've put my hands on trees and they've shown me things, there's a tree in Sedona. When I put my hands on her, she was a grandmother tree. She showed me DNA sequences. And it was like, oh, profound. And then right next to her was another tree that was a grandfather. So she was sitting there holding this grandmother energy. And then within 15 feet of her was a grandfather tree. And he had this beautiful, perfect ear in his bark. And I was like, oh, so I can talk to him. He's like a talking tree. And then I noticed he had this branch that grew into the ground that was shaped exactly like a pipe. And I was like, okay, so grandpa smokes a pipe. Again, I kid you not on the fact that these trees can be quite literal. If you see a tree that looks like it's got boobs, that's a feminine tree. If you see a tree that looks like it's got its eyes on you. I call them watchers. Watchers keep an eye and pass out information throughout the forest. They're probably the closest with the dryads. If you see a tree with a knot that's like this, it's very unified, then that's a birthing tree. If you see a tree that has a long kind of growth that goes back into the ground, that's a gateway tree. I mean, again, what I really should do is I should do a tree explanation per video, but I'm just giving you an idea. They will show you. Get that relationship going. Sit at the base of the tree. I always tell people, make sure you've got something to sit on, make sure you've got, bug repellent on you, because you never know what might want to crawl on you. One of my friends once, after meditating under a tree, found a tick on her neck. Nobody wants to have that moment. Really, nobody wants to have that moment. I'm not a fan of chemicals. I use things that repel, and they've worked so far for me, thank goodness. So off the top of my head, if you want to know what I use lemongrass, rose geranium, um, lemon eucalyptus. Tends to keep all the critters off of you. They basically think you stink, or you don't smell like blood anymore, or maybe you don't smell like your breath. I'm not really sure what the combination is. Maybe you just overwhelm with the scent of nature and they're like, clearly she's a twig. I don't really know. I just know it works. And I also don't like to use chemicals. So if you're a essential oil type person, you're my kind of person. Anyway, I digress. I wandered off in a direction. So I want you to sit comfortably underneath the tree you decide to have this relationship with after you've de-stressed, so that the tree can help you release the stuff that's causing you to be maybe blocked or locked inside of yourself. I want you to have pen and paper. I want you to be ready to write notes and let thoughts and inspirations come to you. If you feel like hugging the tree, hug the tree. If you want to put your palms on the tree, put your palms on the tree. If you want to put your palms on the ground, put your palms on the ground, because you're touching the roots of the tree. Know that you're not just sitting at the base of a tree, that the tree roots probably go no less than 20 to 30 feet out in a circle underneath you. And so you're actually being held from the bottom, from the roots of the tree. And if you're in a beautiful canopy, enjoy the sound the tree makes. Trees have very subtle language, but it's there. They will use the wind as their breath. Now, final and last detail before I sign off, okay? I was in Costa Rica. So this is your last tree story. So the first tree story was inspiring. The second tree story was kind of sad but true, and we already know what that's about. And your third tree story is inspiring. Now, if you go look back on my previous videos, you'll see that I did a moth storytelling night, and it was about an iguana in Costa Rica. If you get a chance to go back on my videos and take a look, I hope it makes you laugh, because it's a true story. And it was a really exciting moment. Now, what I didn't mention was that when I got to the beach in Costa Rica, my friend decided he needed to go hiking up into the mountains, and I was feeling like I wanted to either snorkel or meditate. I just wanted to feel like I was slowed down. My friend didn't know how to relax for the life of him, so he was always go, 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 and I wanted to just connect. The only reason why I even went to Costa Rica was to talk to the trees and the frogs and the rain and the nature spirits and see if they had anything to share. And I'm telling you right now, Costa Rica is a haven, a paradise. It is so truly beautiful. And there's fireflies everywhere and volcanoes everywhere and howler monkeys everywhere and beautiful parrots. And what isn't to love about Costa Rica? It is pura vida, pure life. So I'm on the beach and I find a nice shady spot under a tree and I have my back against the tree and I'm just looking out at the ocean trying to decide whether or not I'm going to swim or whether or not I was going to meditate. And I'm doing some deep breathing exercises. And every single time I exhale, I feel moist. I know some of you have an issue with the word moist. I can't help you. I honestly can't help you with that because that's exactly the sensation I was feeling, moist. Like, I noticed every single time I exhaled, I was feeling quite moist. So I opened my eyes and I noticed that the tree is breathing with me. Every inhale I was taking in with consciousness, love, respect, and the desire to connect with the forest around me and the ocean and the wildlife. And each exhale was being met by the tree exhaling mist. So in the description, when I put down in the description the name of the Sequoia Park, I'm also going to put down the name of the tree in Costa Rica that breathes mist. It actually exhales mist. So when you think about rainforests and the fact that they send water up to the sky and create these sky rivers, and these sky rivers go all around the world, it's amazing. So these prayers, these thoughts, these feelings, these dreams, these trees can talk to each other from millions of miles apart, for real. And I do mean millions, because like they'll just keep recycling the news around and around. They've got their own version of a World Wide Web. They're pretty damn smart, and they didn't get there on accident. They're part of a macro organism that you're living on right now. It's called Mother Earth. So it's really exciting. And like I said, they're quite the lungs of this planet and the nervous system of this planet. It's the reason why the tree of life is a very, very ancient symbol. It's the reason why the Druids, again, we're going to circle back around each time. I want you to create this relationship with the trees. So it was breathing exactly with me. And that was amazing to me that it was breathing exactly with me. It wasn't off with my breathing. It was every exhale, the tree would mist me. So we were breathing together and it made me feel so much joy and so loved. And I already felt loved by the trees around me, but that was a very special experience. So, like I said, get ready, get your notebook, get your game face on, sit with the tree, meditate with the tree, write your thoughts. You may be getting information from the tree itself. What you think of is just your thoughts, could be a transference of wisdom and energy. Just let yourself be available. Think more poetically. Release your mind a little bit. Shake it free a little, okay? Because that's the only way for you to really start hearing a tree or understanding a tree, is to not lock your head. Locking your head literally means you're not going to use your imagination because you're thinking you're making things up. Okay, look, here's the deal. The only way you're going to be able to hear or see on the inner is if you utilize the imagery of your imagination, which is there as a key, as a tool, as a doorway. It will get you there, trust me. And it's a beautiful, beautiful practice. So I'll come back at you later. I'm going to be your dire wolf and bring other lessons. But for right now, we're going to stop. And I will probably wait to see what kind of input you guys give me about whether or not you want to know more about trees. I may still tell you more about trees, even if you give me no input at all, and may even tell you more stories about different experiences I've had with them. Last thing before I go, just because I'm giving you the Southern goodbye where you say goodbye over and over again and you're not really saying goodbye yet, is one of the longest standing signs that I knew for a fact actually was still standing 6 months after I hung it, was in Los Angeles. It was at the base of a magnolia tree that I used to go out and sing to all the time. I would sing to that tree. I would give it crystals and gifts. I would hug it and kiss it. I didn't care if the neighbors saw me out there with the magnolia tree. It's good to be me because I'm out loud. I'm out loud. Look at this face. Okay, so the magnolia tree was a tree for love and relationships, and what it wanted is it wanted to bless lovers, and it wanted lovers to give it a song. So it's specific. They all didn't want songs, by the way. Amoris wanted prayer, and he was willing to help passionate love grow. So like that, remember, said there was two lovers trees. Well, that was the second lovers tree, was the magnolia tree, and it wanted lovers to sing to it. It wanted lovers to sit in front of the tree and sing to it. And I hung the sign and I sang to the tree and I gave it tons of love and I left. And then I think it was 2 or 3 months later, one of my friends who lived in the apartment building right across from this magnolia tree sends me a text message. And the text message is so random and so strange, I didn't even know what he was doing. It literally was Jason and Mike sitting in a tree, KSSSING. And I was like, who are these people? Why are you sending me this? And he said, oh, I was walking down the street and your sign is still hanging. And these two men who were together as a couple saw the sign of the tree and they both hugged the tree. And then they held hands and put their hands on the tree and sang, their names and, sitting in a tree, KSSSING, first comes, love, then comes marriage, So it was very sweet to know that the boys and the girls and whoever else was falling in love was singing to that tree. So on that note, get your butts out there, okay? Promise me that you're going to do your very best to have a real relationship with trees because they're very powerful, very loving, and give insanely good guidance. And this is the time to plant trees, to love trees, to sing to trees, to connect to trees. Just connect with them, please, for me. I love you guys. And until next time, Dire Wolf Mama signing out.